Welcome to the show. Bass and Bonsai. We're in the house. Cyber Monday, right? You guys getting deals? Cyber Monday deals? Check them out. Real quick, I'm going to talk about things I need to get, probably won't, might not. Do you guys need anything for Cyber Monday? Technically, no. These sales are basically put out there because it's the time of year to technically, you don't really need anything to do with fishing or other various things, but it's the holidays, right? Christmas is coming up, gifts, all that kind of stuff. What do I need? Probably more than anything, and you guys may need one too, if you haven't ever made your own videos, want to start making videos, whether you're going to try to put them on YouTube, become YouTube famous or not, I recommend GoPros. Now, this one this was the very first GoPro I ever bought, and I only bought like a couple. But the Hero4 Silver, Silver Edition, is the one that has the screen on the back, and this one's old, nasty, broken. I broke it here, I don't know how early on. It's been dropped. If you look, it's got gouges, scratches. It surprisingly still puts out a clear picture as long as you make sure that's not foggy. And then recently I dropped it again. It's been damaged. Like I don't have it. The only thing I put it in is just a little black case around here that just lets it clip onto the different connections, right? So therefore, when I do, it just gets bumped into stuff. It takes a beating. Still works fine. Several years old. You can still get these. They call them refurbished, but I think they're just new ones that are old stock or whatever. I want to say they're like 69 bucks, sometimes even cheaper. So if you're looking for a way to get out there and start making your own videos, and then eBay has the GoPros. Yeah, you can get a newer one. The thing I like about the older ones, I like the ones that take this style battery. You switch them out. I know at one time Bonsai guy had one, and you couldn't switch batteries. Like it just, when it went dead, it was dead, and you had to recharge it kind of deal. Now I know you could rig it up on a system and then charge up. The problem with this one is why I haven't done that, where I put the external mic to keep down the wind noise, is the only place I could plug it like in and have it just on a bigger battery type deal. So these are also very cheap on eBay. You can buy a bunch of batteries. So I've got like 8 or 10 batteries, SD cards you can get. I've actually, the ones from AliExpress, I was trying to knock them, but this GoPro can only handle a certain amount, a certain load. It's hard to explain, but the big, like say the 1 terabyte or whatever, they're not good for this. It's only like the 2, whatever I have in this one right now, is about the biggest they recommend. But check out GoPros. You can literally get everything done with these older ones. If whether you come across the bundle of a used setup that somebody has, I mean, they'd have to really get rough with these to destroy them. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I probably need to buy another one, and I think I'm just going to stick with the 4 Silver because I know how they work, how to get the job done. Somewhere around here I got another remote. I got a remote for it, and I'll probably rig this old one up on the side of the boat out in the water, maybe even, or ability to push it right down in the water quick and try to get some of these clear water places we go, the fish coming in or that kind of thing. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have one sitting down there with the ability to catch, some of those right at the boat, because we've had here lately quite a few like right at the boat fish catches, right? So it's just a thought on my mind. You guys may be thinking about it, because I've had several people comment and ask, what do you use when I'm out on the water? When I'm in here, I actually just have my phone. It's the Solero 5G. It's not the greatest phone in the world. Does a fine job of doing this. Actually, what is wrong now, the lighting in here at the new place sucks. So I need to get I don't even know what, rig up some kind of light to where it'll be better lighting for you guys to see some of this stuff. And that may be why the lighting is why it didn't want to focus. It's the same camera just with different lighting, and it has a even harder time focusing now for whatever reason. So if you guys don't know, there's Cyber Monday sales are going on like everywhere, right? Tackle Warehouse has their sales going on still. So if you want something from Tackle Warehouse, and I've talked about it also on AliExpress, they're doing a sale. And a lot of these places you need to put the thing in your cart, whether it be Tackle Warehouse, AliExpress is definitely doing a Cyber Monday deal, but it's kind of continuance of the sale that's been going on for a few days now. But search what you're looking for. So Solo King, Acura, and they might be three or four different, or might be on there three or four different ways or whatever, three or four different stores. And a lot of times you got to click. I'll do it. I'll like click on each one in the model I want from three different stores. I'll put them in my cart. Then I'll go to my cart and I click on them individually, and it'll show you what the cost is. In some place, it's just weird how it'll drop off. Certain stores will drop off more money. It's hard to explain, but to find the best, cheapest deal you can. Now, if you guys remember right, the ZB fishing store, stay away from them. But as far as I've never had any other issues with any of the other stores, and sometimes you can get a better deal if you search around from store to store on this, these more common reels. Some stores or some reels or pieces and parts you can only find on one store. Not everybody carries them, but a few different stores carry the Acuras, the Micro Monsters, the Dark Wolf Alters. If you're looking for one of those, the Lingles are popping back up and around too. There's the Lingle that has the gold spool. You can find it. It's got a different braking system. It's not quite, in my opinion, as good as the old original Lingle. There's a deep spool Lingle still floating around. That gold spool one, if I were to get back into the Lingles, I'd probably just get a handful of the gold spool ones and maybe try to find a deep spool or two, possibly, because I don't, that's just what I would do. But I'm sticking with these variants: Dark Wolf Ultra, Black Knight 2, Micro Monster, Genius. Maybe they'll pop up with a couple others at some point, who knows, but there's several out there now. There's going to be several of these sold. What else would I recommend? Also, just keep in mind, I know a lot of you guys are like me. You're thinking bigger items, like, oh, this is also the time to bulk up on your soft plastics or other just baits you've been thinking about getting. Now, look them up, see just how cheap they are, whether it be Tackle Warehouse. Now's the time to start getting those Z-Man if you want to try the Z-Man stuff. And get a couple packs here and there. And most stores are cheaper, but definitely put it in your cart and then look at the price, because I think I was on Tackle Warehouse just looking. I almost bought them, and I still might. If you guys remember right, I talked about the the Abu Garcia, the Lee Jordan, those white rods that I'd also thought about getting up at Rogers. They were like $100. They are on sale. You put them in the cart, or I think you can just look them up. But on Tackle Warehouse right now, they're $79. So you could get those cheaper. But I looked, the Falcon rods, the cheap HDs, which are already cheap anyway, I don't think those are on sale. They're not. You can't get them any cheaper than $69, I don't think. So in my opinion, just by roughly, especially if you're like me, you want a shorter rod, the Jordan, did I say that the Jordan Lee rods from Abu Gar, you guys know the ones I'm talking about. They are $79 right now. They carry 3 in the basically under 7 foot. They've got a 6'8" that he considers more like a jerkbait rod, and I believe it's a medium on the power. 6 foot. I believe there are 2 6'10". One's like a medium heavy, then a heavy. Like one, I think that it's like an all-around dock skipping or something, and the other one is spinner baits or whatever. But anyway, check those rods out. If I didn't already have, you guys have already seen, I went and bought out the. I'm kind of in the Carbon Light 2.0s right now, but that would be a cheaper way to get into some pretty good. They felt pretty good. I ain't gonna lie, they felt and looked like they're built pretty good. And I've got them in the cart. I'm tempted to. I'm kind of looking tonight. When I get done tonight browsing, I'm either going to buy the parts to switch out basically some more aluminum handles for these, order another one of these, and some different drag star parts to get this style of drag stars. And you can still get the drag stars on AliExpress. I may go that route. I may do both, but I may just go ahead and get some of those rods we can try out for the show. And unfortunately, you guys have to wait till next year until they maybe get that cheap again. But that's a pretty good buy. I almost bought a couple when they were $100. So for $80, basically $20 off each one. I'm tempted to buy all 3 of the ones under 7 foot, put one of these reels on them, and because they will be, they're a little bit lighter than these carbon lights, but I don't know what the hookup ratio will be. I'm sure they'll work and function good for what they're intended for, but I'm, you know, the whole hookup ratio with these carbon lights is very hard to beat for me in fish and braid anyway. But I bet you those rods will be good. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there real quick. Check around. You don't need anything, but now's the time if you're going to, like, really what I would do first, and I know I'm probably not going to do it either. I would go through my list of what I need to get, what I have to have for next season, what I know I'm going to use, get that stuff in the cart, then see how much money you got afterwards to buy your, cool factor stuff. If you've already got enough reels and rods to last 2 people several years, maybe you don't need that. Maybe you need to stock up on the other stuff. If you are also out there recording, maybe it's time to get a new camera, before that one does go shoot craps for sure. So just keep that in mind. I know everybody and their brothers are out there trying to get you to spend money right now at the time. Now's not really the time to forget about those things you're going to need. And if you're like me, you get them now, especially if you can get them cheaper from AliExpress. That would be the time. So as I said all that, I will tell you a few things to go buy in case you guys forgot and you're like, oh yeah, I was going to get some of those. If you guys remember right, these insanely cheap, and I'm not putting any links on this video. I've got videos out, the yin yang, with all the different links to all these AliExpress unboxings. Basically just put AliExpress swim bait in the search, and I'm sure a Bass and Bonsai video will come up with me unboxing these. Somewhere there'll be a link to these. But these are kind of like a Mega Bass knockoff, and they're only $3.50 roughly, maybe $4. Even if they're $5 right now, these baits are probably worth closer to $10. They may not function quite as well. You kind of have to be a little more careful, I guess, if you kind of need to swim them a little faster and where you can see them, and with the rod tip up until you figure out the speed to bring them back to you so they'll swim right. But these baits have definitely caught me some fish and are well worth that $4 price range. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. I've got, as you can tell, I just bought 4 kind of various different colors, and they are well worth the money. I've not had time to put into these yet. These are way, to me, better than these other soft swim baits. Still don't know about the dark sleeper. They are cheap enough, the Mega Bass dark sleeper, but I'm not sure about that. If you guys remember right, the Hellraisers, I'm still up in the air on those. I will tell you that. They definitely catch fish. They definitely work. If you haven't watched the videos, go back and check it out, to where this rear is prone to getting bent like every time you catch a fish almost, and you got to straighten it back up for the bait to go right, is the only downside so far. Now, if that works fine and it won't break, that's fine, but that could possibly be a weak link on these. I don't have enough time on them yet, but they definitely are fish catchers. It's something they haven't really kind of seen like that, and so they are expensive though. And if you break off, they're gone. Whopper Plopper may be the better of the bunch anyway. So anyway, get on AliExpress if you have not. If you're like, oh, I don't have a swim bait rod. If you guys have watched, go back and watch. You can fish these suckers on pretty much anything. They're just kind of like a top water. I fish them, you're not real far down in the water column. So like if you have any, I was fishing them on like a kind of a medium, almost a medium light. But if you have a medium or medium heavy rod, I wouldn't be afraid to throw this on our Carbon Light 2.0 from the 7-foot heavy, the 6'9" medium heavy, or the 7-foot medium moderate. I still will be throwing these. Heck, I'd even throw it with our 6'6" medium light if I get around a bunch of dinks. No problems. Those treble hooks, they seem to be, I did switch out. They do come with these crazy shiny ones that some guys like those better. They're almost just a little bit in to where once you get a fish hooked up, it helps it stay pinned, but I'm more of those traditional straight bend hooks, and I did switch out 2 of these. I just haven't done the others yet. But the hooks aren't that bad right off the bat. Okay, so now let me give you a quick rundown. I got to end this video. I'm going to keep it under a half hour. We're almost halfway into 15 minutes. Just a quick rundown for those of you that have just kind of caught on to the BFS game. Maybe you were watching Tactical Bass and you jumped onto this. You're just seeing this either now or next year or whenever you're seeing it. AliExpress is the it's like the honey hole of BFS little bitty baits to go get them cheap, not spend a ton of money, and they're good baits that work real good. If you guys remember right, and there's just if you're searching Bass and Bonsai, look for me talking about Dr. Frankenstein, several unboxing videos. That style bait, there's the Dr. Frankenstein, just that color. It's just something I named him. But those little bitty cranks are awesome baits. I have had luck on some of these other little jerk baits. That guy there's caught me a fish. And then you can even go, these little dudes from Bass Pro Shops carries these little over in the crappie section at Bass Pro. They don't look like much at all, but that's a little fish catching machine. The little bitty jerk type things, and then the little Bagleys, any of those little bitty square bills. Bagley makes some. I think they call them Killer Bees. AliExpress also. We've had several of these little dudes. The ones that I like the best so far are these little Probero baits. They're like a 6 gram. They're like under a 1.0, like a Strike King or a Lucky Craft, Lucky Strike 1.0 size. They're a little bit smaller, but man, that color right there was on fire last year. But those little bitty square bills are awesome. Only a couple bucks. Most of these baits are only like $2 or $3. Maybe crazy insane. Some of them might be $4, but then also the Rapala Scatter Wrap, some smaller sizes. Those are awesome little BFS baits. If you guys remember at Tactical Bass in their video, they didn't mention too many cheap options. They, some decent ones. But then the true like trout and ultralight BFS, you can't go wrong with these little bean type baits, right? You're not going to throw these on your regular bass type BFS gear, what we kind of call power BFS. But if you're just in ultralight BFS type stuff, those little I call them jelly beans, but the little bean knockoff baits, like I said, everything in here I've shared the links when I did the unboxings and talked about it over the last probably 2 years now. So I've way too many to talk about other than there's also a couple little bomber ones. Just any of those little bitty sizes. Look for that little bitty size. There's a true, I believe that is the smallest sized rattle trap you can get. Those are excellent for BFS. There's a couple others. I believe that's another Bagley. I think that's a Rapala. Yeah, ultralight crank. And then where's my, oh boy, I've got somewhere, what did I do with them? Well, somewhere there's also, where did I put those? Oh, they're over here, way down here. My little, you can get these at Bass Pro too, these little bitty cranks. Those are excellent little bitty ones. Bass Pro Shop, house brand, XPS or whatever. Over in the crappie section, those little dudes are awesome too. Awesome little bitty BFS things for cranks. As far as, if you guys know about the little flashback, Tactical Bass, and they haven't really gotten that far into it, but you can get very little chatterbaits on BFS gear. All the way from even the 1/4 ounce, the chatterbaits that are out now that are roughly 1/4 ounce. Some of them have a little bit small enough hook, but usually you got to get into the 1/8 ounce, which is I don't even know if I got any in here. I may not have any in here, but there's about a 1/16 ounce or an 1/8. That's probably an 1/8 ounce in the little flashback. And there's also flashbacks. So you see in the flashbacks, there's a few different sizes you can deal with. You can get down to this real little, what I'd call true ultralight micro, and then just a regular, kind of still ultralight or light BFS gear. But Z-Man, just look at all the different small Z-Man baits. I think Tackle Warehouse is carrying them now. You get on Awesome Bite there. Then they've got even what I call the little micro, like Whopper Ploppers on AliExpress. little walking baits on AliExpress. All these are like $3.50, $4. Very cheap way to go. My probably favorite are these little, and I think you can still get them in one way or another. You may have to put your tails on them, but the little Sonora poppers, those little dudes are deadly. I've got that one in there that, and the color really didn't make a huge deal, I guess, but I basically got a fire tiger one in there. I caught like a 5-pound bass one of the very first days I used it. But them little poppers will catch you a giant fish. And mega bass, their smallest little baby Pop X is also another good alternative, but you know, it's more money, and I think these do just as good a job, in my opinion. They're right there with it. You can't beat the Pop Max, period. It's not BFS, but so anyway, and then like they talked about, you know, you can't go wrong with the, you know, for BFS you can throw the Ned rigs. I throw shaky heads. This is the VMC finesse rugby jig. If you guys don't know the deal, 16th ounce and 1/8 ounce are what I recommend. 16th if you can get by with it. If you just need to get a little deeper, then go to 1/8, you know, 3/16, quarter, whatever you need to get down. But when you rig up almost any kind of soft plastic with that, it's a lighter wire. It's got a little give, but you know, like 10-pound test, I probably wouldn't mess with 6 or 8 trying to set the hook on something that big of a hook. But one of my favorite things to throw with the BFS gear, kind of the reason I started throwing the whole BFS stuff back in the day, was messing with the shaky head. I wanted to be able to throw the zinkers and mainly the actual finesse worms from Z-Man. They're hard to throw with regular gear. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I got to go to the gym. If you got any questions, I'll try to look back on this video tonight before I make my final deals. And if somebody's got a question and they can't find something they're looking for, message me on the end of this video. I'll try to jump back on there, and if I have to go track down one of my links to something off AliExpress, but I'd look around everywhere. You're not going to really find any deals. I tried to look at Bass Pro Shops. I don't even know if they say 50% off, but I didn't find anything they had on sale right away. So I was thinking about if I could find a carbon light, another 6'9" medium heavy, real cheap right now, I'd buy one just to, maybe if I don't put it in the lineup, just to have it there, ready to put in the lineup. So anyway, get out, go bass and bonsai. Stay tuned. I've got a lot more different videos. We're going to go into depth on talking about how I set up for fishing. So fishing videos are about done. I'm going to try to, like I've talked about it before, this isn't an actual piece of paper, but I'm going to try to come in here with a few videos, and we're going to put a piece of paper out, and I'm going to draw you like what my mind, how it works, and the different water depths, angles, and different stuff on what I go by when I'm trying to, you know, read a depth finder or look for certain types of water and that kind of stuff. Just kind of more in-depth what's going through my mind, try to put it out. You know, a lot of times talking about it, you're not getting it, but if I draw it out, maybe you'll get what I'm saying, especially for those of you that are new to bass fishing and you're like, well, what do you mean by a shallow bank or a steep bank or, you know, whatever. Because it's hard to explain. You could have depending on your body. I don't know. I'll go into more detail on that. I can't get into it right now. I'll be here for another half hour. Be looking forward to those type of videos, those guys. More in-depth. Yeah, Brew Tank. I just looked at the Aldebaran again, or the Geekabidgeon. I just looked up. I don't remember where I was. I think I went to Digitaka. That's another thing. If you guys are going to go to Digitaka and try to buy something, I don't think they're having any sales, but they're gone from now until it's like the Japanese New Year or something. So you'll wait a long time now to get something from Japan. It'll probably be quicker to get it from China, AliExpress. They're on their deal right now. But the Geekabidgeon versus the Aldebaran. I think the Aldebaran, honestly, is a better all-around reel. The Geekabidgeon and all those variants of the alpha variants, I think, are better for that ultra finesse trout BFS type stuff, real little bitty stuff. I think the Aldebaran is right there with them, but I think then it branches out where I can put a little bit bigger line. I can throw a little heavier baits. It's almost down into a little, you know, one-trick pony area close. It's not like what these are. Like with these reels, I can get close to what all those other reels do with BFS, with that shallow spool. But I can also get close with the deeper spool, and I could throw bigger line if I want to, and I could throw regular line. I can use these little reels like a regular just bait casting reel. So far I've been doing it on the 6'9" medium heavy, throwing chatterbaits. Doesn't seem to be an issue. 15-pound line. I feel like the drags and everything's pretty good. I might go ahead and rig one of these up with 20. So what I'll basically do is I'll probably just take, I don't know, I'm kind of doing 18 anyway with the 15-pound leader, but I'm thinking about putting 20. I definitely won't go over 20, and I still may break one of these reels. I think on these reels, on almost all your plastic reels, a lot of them, even if the drag and all that will hold it, I think what can eventually happen is you basically will rip the reel right off of the reel seat if you put too much line with too heavy of a drag, and you yank. Because if the drag doesn't give, the line doesn't break, the rod doesn't break, this right here is like an anchor point, and it starts pulling like on any winch would, and it'll pull it right out of its deal and break that, or it'll let it bend enough, flex enough, it'll let it slide out if it isn't into a reel seat on a reel enough. So I think that's why if you looked on a lot of reels, I'll have this one solid piece, even on aluminum on some of the bigger, older stuff, because they were worried about it being more stable. It's a little cheaper aluminum they were working with. So I don't know. That would be the weak point. I don't think the reel itself would have any issue 20-pound line. I think that on the actual reel seat, foot of it. Possibly. I don't know. I may try it, may not. It seems like right there on the line with my 15-pound test. But I'm going to keep going with the 15-pound test, and I might try 20 on one of these reels on the heavy action. So anyway, thanks for watching. Get out, go bass some bonsai. We'll see you later, man. These dogs are getting crazy.